Okay, today we're going to talk about electron configuration. Now, this is for chemistry students that are not totally novice, all right? So, we're not going to get too in depth, but we're just going to brush on the basics. Now, when you're dealing with the periodic table of elements, you have two orientations. You have the horizontal rows, and then you have the vertical columns, all right? So, the horizontal rows are called the periods, and the vertical columns are called the groups. So the periods represent the energy levels or the electron shell, and the group numbers represent the valence electrons. Those are the outermost electrons on the element, and they are involved in the bonding and in the interaction with other elements. All right. So this right here is an electron Bohr model. It's an archaic representation of an element with its electron cloud. So you have your nucleus. In your nucleus you have your protons and neutrons that comprises the atomic weight, and then you have your energy level. So you have your first energy level, the second energy level, the third energy level. All right, so understanding this in correspondence with how the periodic table is written will tell you, where an element is on the table. It's kind of like a map, and it'll pinpoint the address and whatnot. So if it gives you a little information, you can really see what's going on. All right. So let's look at oxygen. All right. So oxygen has 8 electrons. So we know that the first energy level can only hold 2 electrons. Okay, so that's 1, and every other energy level after that can hold 8. Okay, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, how many is that? 6, 7, 8. Okay, so as you can see, I have 8 electrons. I got 2 in the first shell and 6 in the second shell or energy level. Okay, so how many electrons do I have in the valence shell? Okay, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so if you look at which group or column that oxygen is in the periodic table, it's in group 6. Okay, it's easy to see. All right. Now let's look at sulfur. Sulfur has 16 electrons. All right. So let's just go ahead and add to this. We have, so this is 8, this is 9, 10. Okay, so we have 8 on the second shell or the second energy level. So that's 10. We got 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so how many valence electrons do we have with sulfur? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you look at sulfur on the periodic table, it's in group 6. Therefore, it has 6 valence electrons. This is really simple. Okay, now let's look at chlorine. Oh yeah, also, with oxygen and sulfur, if you look at the period, which period is oxygen in? Oxygen is in period 2, or the second energy level. If you look at sulfur, which energy level does sulfur fall in? It falls into the third energy level. Okay, so you got, this is sulfur. Remember, we got 1, 2, 3. See, it's the third energy level or the third period. This is all easy. Nothing is arbitrary. It all means something. All right, let's look at chlorine. Chlorine has 17 electrons. So this is 16 right here. So I'm just gonna add 1 more. 17. All right. Now, which period or energy level does chlorine fall in? And if you look at the periodic table, it falls on the third energy level. So If you look, you got 1, 2, 3. This is chlorine. Okay, and how many valence electrons did it have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it's in group 7. Okay, easy. Do not make this complicated. All right, so now let's look at the electron diagram. All right, so we know that the first energy level has, and I'm gonna write it low. Okay, so the energies go from low to high. All right, so we got we have 1s. Okay, so the first energy level has an s orbital, and it can hold 2 electrons. So we got 1, 2. All right, so that's 1s2. The second energy level has 1, 2. That's 1. I'm sorry. And then it has a p. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So this is, so that's 2s2, and this is right here. Okay, so that is 2p6. Okay, so 2p6 has, let's see, 2p6 would be, which element would that be? I think that is, let me see, give me 1 second. It's gonna be neon. So 2p6 is neon. Okay, so let's look at what oxygen is. What would be the electron diagram for oxygen? All right, so oxygen would have, this is 2 electrons, 4 electrons. Oxygen has 8 electrons, right? So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. This is oxygen. So the electron configuration for oxygen is going to be a 2p4. Okay, it's easy. All right, now let's look at sulfur. So we got sulfur is on the 3rd energy level. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put a 3 right there. And we have, so we filled the 2nd energy level. And so we got a 3s right here and a 3p. Oh, keep on drawing that wrong. Okay, so with sulfur, we have 16 electrons in total. So this is 10, so this is neon right here. This is neon, so that's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Oh, I did chlorine, I'm sorry. So this is 16. So this is sulfur. So sulfur is 3p4. Okay, that's sulfur. What is chlorine? Chlorine is 3p5. Okay, easy. Do not make this hard. Do not make this hard. All right. So let's look at this electron diagram one more time. All right. So if you were asked this on an assignment or a test and it asked you what is the electron configuration of chlorine, what you can do instead of writing all this, you can just write neon, and then you write 3s2 and 3p5. Okay, so that's the shortcut right there. So we're going to get into more of this